Professor Sharon Lewin is one of the world's leading infectious disease experts. She's also the inaugural director of the Doherty Institute and chairs a body known as a prize, which brings together Australia's leading health experts to develop rapid and effective emergency responses to infectious diseases. Welcome to the Sky News studios, Professor Lewin.
Good afternoon, Nick.
Well, Professor Lewin, what's your take on today's developments in Victoria?
Well, disappointing to everyone, to me also as a Victorian, to have to go back into lockdown, but to get on top of an outbreak like this, and I do agree with how Brett Sutton described it, it's a super spreading event within the hotel. Going early is the best way to do it. And I do think we know what to do. We've been here before. We know how to deal with this. We know how to lock down individually. We've had experience of it. It will bring back bad memories for people, but it will be a short, sharp lockdown. And I'm confident with a much better improved contact tracing system, a clear source of where this has come from, the health authorities will get on top of it, and it just makes things much easier when there's little movement in the city.
Professor, there's been a lot of talk about the vaccine program and why Australia seems to be lagging behind the rest of the world. Is this something we should roll out for those who are frontline workers, those working in hotel quarantine, working at airports, who've got contact with overseas arrivals, and as a priority, get them vaccinated now before the official rollout begins?
Well, that's exactly what's happening. The frontline border and quarantine workers are part of that first phase, or what's called phase 1A of the vaccine program, due to start end of February. We don't have vaccine actually in the country at the moment. It's arriving in the next 2 weeks, and that group will be one of the first to receive the vaccines.
But why are we waiting till the end of February? I mean, we've got millions being vaccinated daily across the world. Why can't we also be on the front foot with this?
Well, we are, because we do have vaccines coming, but they're coming from overseas. There is a queue to get those vaccines. There's hundreds of thousands of millions of people lining up for those vaccines around the world. And we've always been very aware that Australia's in a great position until this localised outbreak, but a precarious position. And so, therefore, there is a need to move on with vaccination. Everything's in place. I should just add the vaccine that we're going to start with is the Pfizer RNA vaccine. And it's a pretty special vaccine, meaning that it needs ultra-cold storage. And delivering vaccines through ultra-cool storage needs quite a bit of logistics as well. So those logistics are being put in place as we speak with great speed in Victoria as well as across Australia. And it will be all ready to go in a couple of weeks. To be honest, it would not change anything that we are doing right now. We would still be doing exactly the same thing, even if those people were vaccinated. If we had an event like this in a hotel, we would be doing exactly the same thing, because at the moment in Australia, we've lived with virtually no coronavirus, and staying that way, it takes a lot of hard work, actually. We get a lot of benefits, but it takes a lot of hard work.
Has Australia made the right decision in its purchase of vaccines? I know we've purchased a large quantity of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has 75% efficacy. You mentioned the Pfizer vaccine, which has a 96% efficacy. Wouldn't we have been better off to have purchased more of the Pfizer vaccine? I also note that some of these new strains of the vaccine in South Africa and the UK don't seem to respond as well to the AstraZeneca vaccine, and such that in South Africa at least they have stopped administering that vaccine to people under the age of 30. So has Australia made the right call there?
Okay, a few questions then, a few facts to sort out. Australia has had an approach of backing a range of different vaccines: an RNA vaccine, which is Pfizer, a viral vector vaccine, which is AstraZeneca, and a protein vaccine, which is Novavax. They've also put priority on being able to make our own vaccines, and that's really important because it means that there's no threat to the supply chain. And the vaccine that we were able to make is the AstraZeneca vaccine being made by CSL. CSL cannot make the Novavax vaccine at the moment. CSL cannot make the Pfizer vaccine. So by having AstraZeneca, we have a guaranteed supply chain of an effective vaccine. Why do I say it's effective? Well, you can measure vaccine efficacy in different ways. The figures you quoted are correct, and they are the figures for mild to moderate symptomatic COVID, so people that are COVID positive and have symptoms. What the really important figure we need to look at is how good the vaccines are at stopping severe COVID or stopping people going to hospital, because that's a major goal of the vaccine, to stop people getting sick. Both AstraZeneca and Pfizer are equally very, very effective, 100% effective against severe disease. Now, we also do want to stop transmission, which we want to reduce the number of people that have COVID. And the AstraZeneca, you're right, doesn't work as effectively as the Pfizer vaccine on that front. But we know that the AstraZeneca vaccine also reduces how much virus is in your nose and how long you shed for. So it will have an overall beneficial effect on reducing transmission. The variants, actually, the activity of the Pfizer RNA vaccine is not yet been demonstrated against any of the variants, because those studies were done before the variants were around, and we'll learn about its activity against variants over time. The AstraZeneca vaccine has equivalent efficacy for the UK variant and the original strain of coronavirus, and you're right, reduced activity for the South African variant, but that was in preventing mild disease. And the trial that you're talking about was a very small study, 2,000 people, only young people, only looking at mild disease. So the real answer, the effect of AstraZeneca on severe disease and hospitalisation on the South African variant, we will learn about soon. So I think the strategy overall is broad-based, a guaranteed supply chain, and directed against causing severe disease.
Professor, can I ask a yes or no question? Would you be booking an interstate holiday in Australia at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't tell you why.
A brave call.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you so much for your time today, Professor. We know you've got a lot of demands on your time, particularly on a day like today. Thanks for your insights.
Thanks a lot. Bye.